What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's in Your... Never mind that. Welcome to a replay of the Waterman and D-Train show. Due to some circumstances out of our control, this week's episode had to be canceled at the last moment, but don't worry, we're going to go back in the day, back to where it all began, to episode 52 of the Waterman and D-Train show featuring Gordon. I think Gordon's on this episode, I can't remember, but I can tell you this, Dave spots a bobcat trying to kill his neighbor's free-range chickens. This is when I go out with my future brother-in-law, now my brother-in-law Dave, Mohawk Dave, for his bachelor party when we had 3 or 4 guys who were like over 6 feet tall, all dressed in 3-piece suits going around Naples. Everybody thought we were a country band. The Kia ripoff, before Facila Kia went out of business and sold, how they ripped everybody off by leasing them Kias. Then when your lease was up, you'd return it and they'd ask you for more money to get out of your lease agreement, plus much, much more. We want to thank each and every one of you for supporting the What's in Your Head podcast, formerly known as the Waterman and D-Train show. You want to support the show, head over to d-410.com or what'sinyourhead.com. Click on that Patreon link. Like and subscribe. It only costs you $1 a month. It'll go a long way to help support what we do here at Digital 410 Media. And if you want to hear about in-depth detail about what happened at the Dallas Air Show this weekend, my co-host on the What's Still Scuttlebutt podcast was there, and he goes over it in great detail. His son's friend actually flew on the B-17 20 minutes before the sad crash that happened. So if you want great detail on what happened at the Dallas Air Show on Saturday and the wreck that we all heard about, you can hear that in great detail over at What's the Scuttlebutt. You can find it and all the podcasts on Digital 410 Media at pretty much anywhere you can find your credible favorite podcast, whether it's iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, Stitcher, etc., etc., etc. Anyhow, enough of me. On with the show.
Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the Waterman and D-Train Show.
Digitized live in Cape Coral, Florida from the Act Computer Studio. It's the Waterman and D-Train Show. I am the very tired, somewhat hoarse, and a little hungover D-Train for once. And here's the sober, the alert, and the excited Dave the Waterman.
Damn right, bro. Funny to hear those words out of your mouth, bro. I'm a little hungover.
Yeah, I am, man.
Yeah, I can hear that. I seen it when I pulled up, man. I was like, he's lagging tonight.
Yeah, I'm a little under.
You know? Well, dude, you've been doing this extreme exercise routine, out hanging out with the boys. I mean, bro, you're really extending your hours and your reach, man.
How's things in Vegas, Gordon?
Yeah, what's up, Gordon? Yellow.
Hello. You know what? I think we may be having some technological problems today. I can barely hear you guys.
Well, we're here.
Well, how you doing? Can you hear us now?
That's better. I'm doing fine.
There we go.
And for those of you in Columbus, Ohio area who's freezing your ass off, for those of you in my hometown of Franklin County, Ohio, the 89,000 of you without power, we hope your power is restored. You're probably watching this from your very cold couch via your phone that's dying right now. They have high winds today, like up to 50 miles an hour. I'm seeing friends on Facebook whose crap's getting blown out of their yard.
Really?
Now, obviously, by our Florida hurricane standards, that's nothing. But for people who, when we get hurricanes, we get like a 2-week heads up.
Yeah.
And they don't. And so they don't have time to button down and secure their belongings before they end up in their neighbor's house.
Yard ornaments and all that.
I'm happy everybody's here. What's going on, fellas?
Yeah, man. I'm doing good, bro. I don't know. I'm a little concerned about you, but I'm doing all right, bro.
It's all good in the hood,
all
man.
right. I'm doing good, man. I'm just kind of, every day is another step forward for me, man. So I'm very proud of what I've been able to get done and accomplish, I guess. Mentally tackling things and progressing along with my life. Now, I'm probably not the most fit and healthiest as you work out all the time, but my brain's feeling good, man. So that means a lot. That means a lot to me, man. The damage is maybe starting to reverse. Maybe some neurons are getting replaced. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And maybe the brain cells.
A hill here this week. We've had a lot of snow in Vegas. I'm sure everybody's seen our version of Snowpocalypse this year. But otherwise, I'm doing well.
Very cool, very cool. But I do got something I got to hit, man.
Yeah,
this is. I didn't believe it. I did not truly believe it until it came upon me and stalked me.
What's that?
Okay, let me set it up for you here real quick. So Friday night, get done, go home.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 10:30 at night, my neighbor hits me up on the phone and says, "Hey man, come back to the back of the fence."
You must be the most neighborly person in the world, because I've lived in this neighborhood for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I barely know a single one of my neighbors.
Really?
Bro, my last neighborhood I lived in for 4 years, barely ever talked to one of my neighbors.
Really?
And you are just constantly the king of your neighborhood. You're
Oh,
like
yeah.
Mr. Wilson on
Oh, bro, I
Home
talk.
Improvement.
Oh man, I do, bro. There's one thing I love doing is I like to get to know who I'm living around a little bit, so that if the crap hits the fan, man, I know who's got my back, or if I need to help them out, however it may work. But I am a very neighborly guy. So my neighbor hits me up. He says, "Hey, let's go over to the back of the fence, man. I'm gonna chat with you for a little bit." I'm like, "Sure, all right, no problem." So we're out there, we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the gentleman that just got the 4 chickens, and he built a sweet chicken coop.
Any roosters?
Not yet. I'm
Better hope not.
I'm dreading that day that he brings that male rooster over.
I don't know if code compliance got on him. I don't know what happened to him, but one of
Right.
my, not like close neighbors, but somebody within hearing distance of my house had some roosters for a while. And every night, when the sun went down or coming up, you could just hear that son of a bitch just crowing all night
Yeah.
long. It's like, shut the up.
Oh yeah, and that's what I'm waiting on. Now, they get out there and they do a lot of that. As they're and they're chasing each other around the yard. Now these are free range chickens.
Well,
so
semi-free range, or
Well-
they're in a residential neighborhood.
well, or free roam. What I'm getting at is the guy doesn't have a fenced-in yard, so
Sure.
they'll end up 5 houses down.
Well, that's not going to last in Cape Coral.
Down the street. And I'm like, "Hey man," and I told him when I was out back talking to him on Friday night, I said, "Look," I said, "you realize your chickens are hitting up in the front yard? That's not good because of the fact of what happened Friday night." And I live across from an area in the Cape that has, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've understood from some of the other neighbors that I've talked to, is they said it's one of the largest in neighborhood undeveloped pieces of property.
Okay.
So there's canals all around over that area.
Sure.
And there is basically everywhere around here. But it's the largest piece of property that's inside of a neighborhood that's not developed. So I've looked, and there's one neighbor, he's made literally a driving range out of that piece of property. I mean, that's how much property's out there. He gets out there with his woods and stuff, man, and just wing, you hear him out there, ping, and he's getting it. So there's a lot of property out there. So I'm out there, I'm talking to my neighbor. I said, "Look, man, your chickens, this is pretty wild." I said, "Your chickens are roaming around and this sort of stuff." I said, "You got to be careful about that." And he's like, "Well, the neighbors out front are cool and all that." And I said, "Yeah." And I just so happened, we both kind of look and we heard a little rustling, and we look over. Now there's a palm, one of those dense, we've talked about this before, they're not coconut palm or bamboo palms,
Okay.
but they're the shoots, they're probably about, I don't know, 6 inches round,
Okay.
but they're in a tightly packed bunch.
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about? And people use them to build walls in their backyards and
Yeah,
stuff.
they're like natural privacy fences.
Yeah, it's like a
'Cause
natural
they come
privacy
up,
fence.
They
Yeah.
spread out like a fan almost.
Exactly. Well, the neighbor next to me has a whole line that runs down the backside of his property and almost to the street. Well, we hear this rustling. And about 25, maybe 30 feet away, I look and I'm watching, and I see this animal. Now, I said, "Bob, stop." I said, "Bob, stop. Take a look." I said, "You see this?"
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking, and I said, "That's no house cat, man. That is not a house cat." Because it was too high, like its stomach was too high off the ground.
Okay.
First of all, it was jacked up. Its ears were probably 3 inches off its head,
Okay.
maybe a little bit higher, because all I saw was like this right here. I mean, they were up there,
Sure.
and they're probably 3-4 inches off its head. And I said, "Look at this." I said, "Bob, look at this." And he's looking, and I said, "It's going for your coop, bro. It's going for the chicken coop,
Yep.
man." I said, "I don't know what that is." And we're looking, and he goes, "Maybe that's a fox." I said, "No, that ain't no fox. That's either a bobcat or a juvenile coyote."
Okay.
Coyote. Or a juvenile coyote, okay? And I'm sitting there, and we watched it, and it kind of walked and made its way past us. Like I said, it's about 25 feet away, and it's pitch black out, so you can't see it. You know, I couldn't see it. And I said, what is this thing doing? And I said, oh, that's when I said, hey, it's going to your chicken coop. And, of course, he runs interference, and it was quick. It was going in for the kill, man.
Yep.
It went in quick, went around the corner, almost into the coop, and he cut it off by his Jeep. And that son of a gun took off.
Yeah.
I mean, flew, bro. Hauling just complete butt. And I said, I don't know if that is a coyote, bro, or if that is a little... I mean, do we have bobcats around here?
Yes, we do.
Then I'm thinking that's a bobcat, because when it
Did
jumped...
it have a tail?
Well, it had a little... It was a little
nub
I
tail?
couldn't tell, but
Yeah.
it looked a little nubby, you know? And the thing jumped literally across the freaking road from the grass, when the field ended. It leaped almost all the way into the neighbor's lawn. And I said, Bob, whoa, man. I said, that's something that's been stalking, because I've talked to my family.
Yep.
And they said, we've seen it. And I said, nah, and I didn't believe them. Well, I got a first-hand, up-close look at that thing Friday night, and now that I'm thinking about it, it's got to be a bobcat.
Yeah, it probably is. Because, I mean, anytime you have livestock, such as chickens,
Yeah.
in your yard, you're going to attract predators.
Yeah, yeah.
And especially if they are, quote-unquote, free-range, like you said.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why you have fenced-in chicken coops. If he has that many chickens, they will end up dead.
Yeah, well, and I've got all that area. So today I was out, and I'm looking at the area.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm over there, and I kind of walked back up into the brush a little bit. Didn't go far, but I walked up in there. I said, "There's so many areas for them to have a den back up there.
Sure.
You have to come over there and see it, because I'm like, wow, I'd really love to find this thing. But where it went is it went a completely different. Yeah, I got you. It went a completely different direction. And I said, wonder why it's going that way. But it's probably on its little feasting path. It's probably got a route that it takes every day."
Yeah.
Every night. But anyways, I've never seen that before, and now the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm going, I probably got a lot of more wild animals in that area over there than I know of.
What's going on
Do you
there?
guys have raccoons down there?
Raccoons?
What's that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they will totally go for those chicken eggs and chickens.
Oh, yeah, I know, because I used to have a parrot with that I couldn't have when I moved, and I left it at Dad's house, and what he decided to do, because he has a fenced-in pool, which is basically a giant aviary, was to roll the bird out there, open up the cage, let it do its thing on the lanai, and then he would put it in the cage at night and let it sleep out there. Well, one night he forgot to put it back in the cage, and he left the dog door unblocked. And like 5 a.m, 2 raccoons came in and killed it. So yeah, raccoons will definitely kill your birds, your chickens, and what have you.
Yeah, they'll go after that as well. Now, Gordon, living in Vegas, man, you got to see a lot of coyotes, obviously. I mean, that's
we've got
a
a
staple.
few right around our neighborhood. I'll see them right around sunrise when I'm going to work, crossing roads and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're out here. They're jumping into people's yards, snacking on little dogs and stuff
so
like
bad.
that.
Yeah,
But we
cats.
definitely have it. Valley's continuing to grow, pushing out into the desert. So
Yeah.
they're coming in, man. They're opportunists.
You guys have jackrabbits out there in
I
Las
haven't
Vegas?
really seen any jackrabbits. The only rabbits I see are on the golf course.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are, but we do got Gila monsters.
We got roadrunners.
Yeah, and you got road runners.
And we got road runners.
Yeah, you got road runners. People think that that's a big bird. It's kind of a small
tiny.
bird.
I mean,
a
it's
tiny
smaller.
little
It's
bird.
about the size of a freaking
It looks like
cockatoo.
Yeah, it's not that big of a bird. People
Definitely ain't the size of a coyote.
Yeah, no, not
Don
at all.
complained about the heat out here, and it's dry heat and joke. But you know what one of the best things there is?
What's that?
Hardly any mosquitoes.
Oh yeah, yeah. You don't have the
Fantastic.
flies and mosquitoes like we do here by far. And that was one of the things when you're going out to California, you go through those what do they call them? Fruit fly checkpoints, basically, in a way. Mm-hmm. You got the fruit fly checkpoints when you're heading into state, because they want to make sure you're not bringing in any infected fruit, obviously,
Yep.
and
The
other things.
agricultural checkpoints.
Yeah, agricultural checkpoints, absolutely.
Oh, they've moved it to Prim now. It's
Really?
it's right on the border. Yep.
Wow. So yeah, I got to say, I'm gonna set up. I want to try to get one of these trail cameras. I want to catch this thing, man. What do you think?
For what purpose?
Just so I can verify that I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I mean,
How about on one of them nights that you don't have a lot to do, or you've got a few
That's every
pops in
night.
you?
well, that's
You
what
just
I well,
hang
that's what
out
I'm doing,
watch-
man. That's what I'm doing. I'm hanging out, bro. I'm talking to my neighbor, being socializing. You know, and
You
next.
being the most neighborly neighbor who ever neighbored.
Oh, I'm a good damn neighbor, bro. I'm one of the best neighbors you could possibly have, bro. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
If you are a wildlife expert and you want to tell Dave why he shouldn't try to capture a bobcat, give us a call at 772-207-4150. That's
Yeah.
772-207-4150. This episode of the
Yeah.
Waterman and D-Train Show, episode 51, by the way, we forgot to mention last week was episode 50. But episode 51 is brought to you by our friends at Act Computers. Act Computers has been servicing all Southwest Florida since 2004. They specialize in small and medium network businesses, or business networks, yeah, that too. Servers, workstations, tablets, laptops, all things technology. They also do home residential computer repair and printer setups, and pretty much anything technical you need to figure out how to get your Roku working on that new TV for your grandma and you don't have time to go over there. Send over Act Computers, they can help. 239-283-1120. Now I know what you're saying, D-Train, I live in Grass Lakes, Iowa. How could I possibly help you? And by supporting your sponsor, well, as long as your internet works and you have some minor computer issues, they can help. They can log in remotely via their website, act-capecoral.com. So give them a call at 239-283-1120 or find them on Facebook or act-capecoral.com. I am beat.
You are.
So I had to go do a bachelor sausage party last night because it's 2019 and promises were made that no strippers would be included in the bachelor sausage party last night. Now I will say perhaps maybe that rule should have been broken because chances are people assume that there were strippers involved and that we're just doing a guy code and saying there wasn't, but truth be told there wasn't because we were in Naples all night. But the night started off downtown. There was about 14 of us,
Right.
all dressed in black because we're going to a funeral.
I seen you, man.
Ties,
I seen it.
vest. Now the funny thing is, I'm 6'5". Sean's like 6'7". Nick's like 6'6", and like one or two of the other guys are at 6 foot or over. And so as we're walking around, it's Jesus Christ, these people are tall.
Right.
Effing wrecking crew.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, that's what I said. I said, too bad we don't have the Reservoir Dogs song in one of our cell phone pockets. We're
Oh,
playing as
man.
we're walking down the alleyway. And so the night started off at the Sky Bar, or well, half the Sky Bar, because now half of the view is being blocked by the new hotel that they're building down there on the parkland that was supposed to be left for park usage, but that's
And the
neither here
rest
nor
of the
there.
view were blocked by you fuckers.
Yeah, that too. And so we started off down there and had a few drinks, but we decided to rent a party bus.
Oh.
Now, I have never done the party bus thing, but as many guys as we had, it came down to like $50 a person.
That's not bad.
And I think, like I said, 12 or 14 of us. And we had 2 bottles of Jaeger, a tall bottle of your favorite, Fireball.
Oh.
20, oh, you just splattered your mic. 24-pack
Bombed
of
out.
Bud Light,
Nice.
24-pack of Yingling,
Oh.
a bottle of Captain Morgan, and a bottle of vodka.
Nice.
Now,
you guys were stocked.
I had a shot and 2 beers at the Sky Bar.
All right.
And we got on the bus, and we're heading down the interstate, and we're drinking. We're just nailing it, right?
Yeah.
And one of the guys like, man, it's taking forever to get there. I said, well, he's probably doing 55, man.
Yeah, he's doing. Yeah.
I said, 1, you're charging by the hour. You're not in a hurry. And 2,
Yeah.
this thing's probably got a governor on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean's like, there's no way he's doing 55. I said, pull out your GPS. So
Right.
he pulled out his Waze app, and lo and behold,
Yeah.
we're doing 56.
56.
And now me being one of the oldest guys on the bus, and I already have a bladder of a 3-year-old, but
Oh,
now that
man.
I'm older and I got kidney stones and all that crap, I got a beer in my hand and I'm feeling the pain, man. I'm getting a tight pain down here. I'm like, I gotta piss.
Yeah, I gotta take a leak.
Now there's no place to piss on this party bus, but I was like, I'll man it up.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there drinking. We're all drinking and music playing, and
Yeah.
we're all talking old stories about parties and this and that.
Oh yeah.
God damn, I gotta piss.
Yeah, I
man.
gotta take a leak.
I want to stand every time you hit a bump. It's like, oh, because you're sitting
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know, you
Oh, I know.
got a tight shirt on, got the vest on, got the belt on, and all that.
Yeah,
and
you were
just
sharp.
boom, boom. Oh, so
Yeah.
I stood up and then I stepped up there and I said to Buster, I said, how far out are we?
Yeah, right.
He's like, why? I said, I gotta piss.
Yeah, bad.
And everybody's laughing at me. Right? He's
Old
like,
man.
He's like, you want me to wait till the rest stop or pull over? I said, no, pull over now.
Yeah, right.
And they're, oh, boo! Everybody's
Oh.
boo!
There's nothing wrong with a good interstate leak, man. Nothing wrong with a good interstate
Well,
leak.
here's the best part. I get out and I'm stepping through the field and I'm going to the tree line, trying
Yeah,
to be a
yeah.
little incognito. Alligators and bobcats be damned. I have to piss.
Yeah.
And I
Bite
hear all
your
these
jump
voices
off.
around me. And as I'm sitting there with my equipment in my hand doing my work,
Yeah.
I start to look around and there's 8 other motherfuckers there pissing.
Oh, they all pile up.
I see. So when I'm the guy asking the bus driver to pull over, the rest of you are taking part in the festivities.
Nobody wanted to
You wanted to
admit.
see which chump was going to fess up
Yeah,
first. At the end of the
nobody wanted to be that first guy that says, "Hey, man, I gotta take a leak, man."
Well, Tommy mentioned, I got to piss too, man. So I knew he was on it. But yeah, I was just thinking, and then got back on the bus. I'm like, thank God Highway Patrol didn't pull up. He'd just written 8 indecency tickets for all of us urinating. And I was the only one on the tree. The rest of them were just standing right there on the side of the interstate. just
18-wheelers coming by. The wind's just blowing the piss on the next guy standing next to the guy there. Whoosh. Yeah, bro.
And so we file back into the bus, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like one of those super cool like band buses. This is like basically a short bus style.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Did it have a
tall.
stripper pole in there?
No, luckily
stripper pole.
with 4 of us being over 6 foot tall, it was tall enough that it did have the headroom.
Neon lighting.
But there's a new place that just opened up in Naples, and this is not a plug. It's just it is what it is. They're not paying me, as much after the $385 check we dropped last night. They should be paying me.
Yeah.
It's called the Hampton Social. Hampton, like Hampton, New York. Like
I know. I got you. Like the Hamptons. I get it.
So we pull up right after the valet parking.
Yeah.
Now let me paint the scene for you. This is at the Mercado in Naples.
Right.
The big rich.
Oh yeah.
For those of you not down here, think of it's your basic multiplex place where you have different restaurants, movie theaters, bars. It's just a big social area, but this is a high-end place. And so we pull up to behind a valet, and we're all piling out. Mm-hmm. And so if you're a casual walker by, right, you'd be walking by this beautiful white building, all this nice atmosphere. There's valet parking.
Right.
You have 2 Ferraris.
Oh,
A Lamborghini,
nice.
a Porsche,
Yeah.
and then a white party bus.
Yeah, bro.
Straight from North Fort Myers. And
we're here to party, son.
Drunk, broke ass.
Yeah.
North Fort Myers, Cape Coral, white trash.
Oh man,
all
love
just
it.
Piling out of the bus.
Love it.
But we all look sharp. And,
yeah.
And as we're walking, rewind a little bit, as we're walking through downtown Fort Myers, you have us and people are like, is that a band? Because it looks like a big ensemble.
Yeah.
It looks like we're like a classical band, except for Dave has his 3.5 foot mohawk, right?
Oh, Dave was there.
It was his bachelor.
Oh, wow.
It was his sausage party. It was Mohawk Dave's
Dave,
sausage
congratulations, bro.
party. And he had black stripes painted in his mohawk like he usually does for Raiders games.
Yeah.
And people were like, is that a rock group or whatever?
Yeah.
And I'm so used to it because I've known him for 12 years now, but anytime he goes out with his mohawk up, the number one question is, what do you put in your hair?
Right, yeah.
Which we usually get creative and say, like, whale semen that has to be imported from Alaska.
How could you not?
Do you put egg whites in mayonnaise? No. It's a simple hair product, but women are constantly coming over and fondling his head and all that.
No.
And this rich drunk lady walks up to me. She's like,
oh, boy.
is he famous?
You should have said, hell yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
She said, what's he do? I was trying to come up with the funniest, most asinine career path for this gentleman in the entertainment. Obviously, heavy metal would have been too easy.
Oh, yeah, no.
Punk rock would have been too easy.
Yeah.
And in my semi-alcohol-induced brain, I said, he's a country singer.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, let me just...
We're a country band.
Yeah, we're a country band.
And she's like, I think I might know him. She's like, country singer, really? He's like, yeah. I said, we just got done playing a show.
Oh.
And so she wanders off. I must have done some research, like country singer Mohawk.
Yeah.
Came back 20 minutes. We're outside smoking after we ordered. She's like, are you the guy who signed to Alamo Records?
Oh no.
It's just so funny because now we're sitting around the table laughing about this, and we're looking around the table like, well, if Dave's a singer, well, clearly.
Yeah, who's the drummer?
Clearly, the short little guy here, you're our agent / lawyer.
Right, there you go.
The big guy down there with the huge guns is our bouncer.
Yeah.
One guy over there, he's our upright bass player. And we're just like looking at each person in the band trying to come up with what their role is.
Right.
And so now we enjoyed the meal at the fine establishment. I got some fantastic fish and chips. The price really wasn't that bad. Both 18 people, like I said, we did drop close to $400.
Right.
And somebody did not pay their share, but that's neither here nor there. We don't know who that was, but some of us had to pay more than what we consumed.
Hey, bro, I wasn't there.
Always one.
Yeah, I wasn't there, Gordon.
And to be fair, that's why Dave wasn't invited, because one, we knew he didn't have an all black suit, and two, we didn't want to flip his.
But
his
it's
bill.
it's all good, man. But anyways, keep going.
So after this, we're like, well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Clearly, we're gonna get back on the bus for at least 20 minutes because we have all this free alcohol, free prepaid alcohol.
Hell yeah.
You know, we're down in Naples. Why go pay $7 for a beer when we got beer and booze on the bus? So
go sit in there.
So we call the bus driver. We're all outside smoking, all in our suits. People are staring at us, and here comes the little hokey short party bus pull up, and they're right behind the Ferrari that just pulled up. So we pile back on. He does like 2 laps around Naples, and we're drinking. We come back, and now our next venture is Burn by Rocky Patel next door.
Okay.
Now this is not a knock on them. They have a dress code. This is Naples, but we're all dressed to the nines.
Yeah, you guys were looking pimp, man.
But at first, the management didn't want to let Dave in because of his mohawk.
Oh, come on, man.
But luckily, Dave and his friends basically work in the downtown Fort Myers bar scene, and they have for like 13 years.
Drop names.
And so they knew 2 of the bartenders, one of the waitresses, and one of the bouncers there, and they went and talked to managers. So sure, let him in. He's not trouble.
He's a good guy, yeah.
He's not a derelict. Yeah, he has a 4-foot mohawk, but he's not going to come here and make an ass of himself. So they let us in. We went to the VIP, and smoking cigars, hanging out, and had a good time, drinking more. I will say this, not to throw Dave under the bus, but he hasn't bartended in 2 years. He does another line of work.
Yeah.
And now I was outside talking to one of the other guys, and Sean, who's a real good friend of his, he comes out laughing his ass off. Like, what's so funny? He's like, Dave, man. He said he's in there wasted. He's like, he said he looked at the waitress and said, yeah, watch this, I still got it. He pulls out a tall bottle of vodka from her little bar back in VIP and start doing his cocktail.
Oh, they're doing his Tom Cruise.
This chick was standing there with a glass, and he straight up broke that shit right out of her.
Yeah,
not knocked it, shattered it right
Oh, no.
with the bottle.
Hey, baby, watch this. I still got it.
Blink. So we hang out there.
Good stuff.
We enjoy a good time, but right across from Burn, there's another bar that I didn't see the name of, but it has a line down, all the way down to the Hampton. So because people were just, I mean, it's all opened up.
Yeah.
Because it's all like in one of those enclosed malls, and so all the side doors are rolled up so you can see into the place.
Yeah.
And it's just a sea of assholes and elbows in there. I mean, the place is packed. You got people lined up and dressed in their, their
dressed to the
Saturday
nines,
best.
man. They're looking their best, yeah.
And Dave decides he wants to go in there.
Oh, boy.
Now, when he was inside the whole time, a lot of us were outside talking. We're talking like, there's no way I would stand in that line.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell.
That bad.
Once again, it's just a club.
Yeah. Oh.
We're all old, We're not all the guys
got
there.
a buzz on.
All the guys there, we all have significant others, so it's not like we're going to go pick up chicks.
Yeah, you're not looking to score.
And so I was like, Dave wants to go in there. Son of a bitch, I'm not going to Well, once again, somebody in our party knew the guy working the door, and we just cut off the entire line straight, rolled up in there.
That's good stuff.
And of course, it's all elbows and assholes.
Yeah.
And this one short, Hispanic guy is standing. He looks at me. He's like, "Man, you guys are like the Men in Black up in this motherfucker."
Right? Yeah, hanging out.
And so we work our way up into the bar. We're getting drinks and all that. I'm at this point, I'm just hitting beers. I took a couple of shots of Fireball on the bus.
You don't want to get.
But in the back of my mind, being the semi-responsible person I am, I know that at some point we're going to get back to Fort Myers. I'm going to drive my truck home.
Oh.
And so I'm pacing myself. We still got 3 hours, so I'm good. So I'm still drinking.
Yeah.
And somebody hands me a shot of something. I don't know if it's tequila. It's clear and it has a lime in it.
Yeah.
And we're all doing shots. And so I take that, and now it's kicking in.
See, I know it, dude.
It's about 1:30 now.
I know that feeling.
It's about 1 o'clock now, and I'm starting to get a little light in the head, and just the burns kicking in, and now we're back into the VIP place of this. And I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, man, this is not good. So I initiated the manual sobering protocol.
Right. Yeah.
And this is a nice place.
Gordon.
This is a place with a bathroom attendant, which I had already given $4 to.
Oh, yeah.
For giving me some soap that he had in a squirt bottle because he's top flight.
Damn right. Did he have any cologne?
He had the whole
he had the whole shebang.
And so they did have 2 bathroom stalls with these nice frosted glass doors.
Nice.
Now, see, I'm so good at this that no one and my party knew, so I didn't catch shit.
Yeah.
I'm omitting this, even though no
Yeah,
one knows
yeah.
this. I'm telling you guys for the first time. No one knows any about this stuff. But I went and initiated the manual sobering protocol. Went in there and shut the door. Finger down the throat.
That'll do it.
Brought up all my fish tacos. I mean, my fish and chips. And within 20 minutes, man, I was back to about 75% clarity.
Hell yeah.
And walked out, and they're all hanging around. Somebody offered me a mint. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, taking a break.
Got me a breath mint from the bathroom.
Beautiful.
Didn't drink anymore. So now that place wears off, and 3 members of our party were concerned now because it was getting close to 2 o'clock.
That's just.
And we had a 45-minute drive home.
Yeah.
And they knew after 2 o'clock we have to charge an hour. We get charged an extra hour for the bus, which is another $100.
Oh boy.
But that's only $10 a person.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay. Yeah. There's that.
Until
many of you.
3 of you motherfuckers decide to catch an Uber and take a 45-minute Uber ride home because you figure between the 3 of you it'd be cheaper to catch an Uber ride home than to have to pay.
Oh, that is low.
So 3 of them bounce on us.
That is low, son.
It's like, okay. And so we leave Burn, and no, we leave the bar across from there, and
Yeah.
now there's an Irish pub down the way that Dave wants to go to.
Oh.
And at this point, I'm looking at my clock like, man, it's already 1:30, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm not drinking anymore, so we get on there, hang out there for a minute. That place is dead because once again, it's almost closing
Yeah.
time.
It's almost closing.
Talk to a few people, lights come on, bouncer's like, get the fuck. And
Yeah.
no, he literally said, get the fuck
yeah.
out. I want to
Clean
go
your
home.
house. Clean your house. Everybody go home.
And so we mosey our way back out there. We pile back on the bus, and it's another slow 55-mile-an-hour
God.
ride home, and they're all still drinking.
Oh, bro.
Now both bottles of the Jaeger are tapped out. They're,
Ugh.
I think the vodka's gone.
Eh.
The Captain Morgan still had some, but we still had
That's
beers,
good.
and so we're still talking, having a good time. But I'm not drinking because once again, I know in 45 minutes I'm gonna drive.
Yeah,
and
you're gonna be in the ride, man.
so now I'm well below 50%. But we stop in Bonita. No, I didn't know where it was. We stopped.
I didn't know where I was.
We stopped and because one of the other cats had
Yeah.
parked in Bonita, and he asked the guy to drop him off there. And so I walked. Me and another cat walking to 7-Eleven,
Yeah.
and a very frightened clerk came out. She's like, "We're closed."
What?
I was like, "I thought you guys were."
24/7, man.
I thought you guys were open 24/7. And I said, I'm just here to use the ATM because I got to pay the bus for more money. I'm not. And I literally said, I'm not here to rob you. And the
Yeah.
other guy's just taking a piss. And she's like, yeah, we're open 24 hours except for when there's only one employee on the clock. And I was like, where the fuck are we? She's like, you're in Bonita.
So,
I'm like, Bonita Springs is where you're worried about getting robbed?
yeah.
But yeah, so apparently she forgot to lock the door and we had wandered in.
Wandered in.
And of course the ATM machine was out of service. So
Oh, of course.
I was like, well, I guess I want to bum $20 off somebody else and pay them back later, or have somebody, when we get back to downtown Fort Myers, I'll have to go find an ATM.
Yeah.
So we make the long, slow,
Trek.
arduous 56-mile-an-hour trek back to
God.
downtown Fort Myers, and he drops us off, and we go to pay him. He said, the cat in the party, I don't want to name his name, talked to me earlier, just told me to put it on his card. So
Yeah.
okay, cool, we'll just kick
Throw it
him
on
down
the
some
card.
money when we see him again. And so on the way back, I don't want to say names, but there's 2 gentlemen who were pretty much caressing each other.
What? On the bus, bro?
Well, one gentleman, big dude, right?
Oh, God.
He's
This
sitting
is
next to me,
horrible.
and he's cradling Yellow and has his hand around his.
What?
And I look over at Sean. I said, "Somebody's getting a hand job before this bus trips over."
Dude. What is going on, man?
They're talking in each other's ear, and they look like they're about to start making out.
Doing the sweet whispers and
So we get off the bus. Downtown Fort Myers is a ghost town, and I'm like, where the hell are these 2 at? They're still on the bus, right? One of them comes off, and the other one has to be escorted off by the bus driver. I mean, he's
That loaded.
full-blown Bambi legs.
Oh.
I mean, he can't stand up. And
You think the other guy's taking advantage of him, maybe?
no, they're just drunk and they're friends.
All right,
and
just-
after I saw how tore up he was coming off that bus, I realized that's why he was cradling, because well, both of them were drunk, but old boy was 18 sheets to the wind.
Oof. Sounds like it, man.
And he disappears. I'm like, where the fuck did he go?
Yeah.
I walk around the corner and he's face down on the ground because he was trying to piss and he fell over. Luckily, before he started urinating.
Been there.
And so,
Face plant.
Yeah, the old face
plant.
plant on the concrete. And so we all gather our faculties, the sober ones, sober-ish ones. They take the drunkish ones.
Oh yeah. And help out your brethren.
I'm absolutely good to go at this point because now after the slow ride home, I mean, it's 45 minutes from Fort Myers to Naples when you're doing 75.
Oh, absolutely.
So at 56, you can imagine that's an hour ride home. Plus, I'd stopped drinking 15. An hour before, so I've had 2 hours to get my shit together. And I never at any point was in the wind.
Yeah.
You never
did. I've known you a long time. I've never seen you.
And Sean on the bus
like
too.
That.
It's like I've never seen you drunk. I said that's because when I get drunk, I get quiet. I'm not belligerent.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, is everybody good to go? And like, yeah. Now it's 3:45 at this point.
Oh my God, you were out getting it, man.
So it's 3:45. I get home at 4:30. I go in there and take a long hot bath in the garden tub.
I bet you did,
soaking.
Man.
And I go to bed, and I get woken up at 8 o'clock.
Oh.
8:30. And so I've had like...
So tired you can't even open your eyes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
just in that...
And so my dad had invited me, my daughter, my cousin...
Oh, no.
...out to dinner because my aunt... Well, 2 cousins were in town, plus 2 of him. My significant other, she had to go to the not the bachelorette party, but the bridal shower today at 1:30, so I had to drop her off.
Man.
And then I went to the mall and I got your hat made, and I got my brother hat made.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Look at that, everybody.
And so around 2 o'clock, I hear so-and-so's in the hospital.
What?
What do you mean? He was fine.
The face plant guy?
No, the guy who was cradling him.
Oh, God! What happened?
I'm like...
This is great.
At 3:45 in the morning, he was fine-ish.
Yeah, he was on 2 legs.
He wasn't driving. He was by far better than the person who was assed out on his face on the sidewalk. What the fuck happened?
Yeah, what happened? Fill me in, man.
And I'm like, what happened? And they're like, well, somehow the 2 of them, he got back to drop off the young Bambi in his house with his...
They rode together.
Now, to give young Bambi credit, apparently he had a wedding or another party Saturday afternoon, so he had been drinking since 4 p.m.
Wow.
So by the time we met him downtown at 7, he was already 4 or 5 beers in before we were.
Yeah, feeling no pain already.
So apparently
Damn.
The hero got Bambi home, because I'm trying not to use any names.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
But apparently the hero decided he was going to make his way home by foot. Now, I don't know if this means...
I've been there, okay.
I don't know if this means they took an Uber from downtown to Bambi's house.
Yeah.
But somewhere between Bambi's house and a bus bench that he found, he ran into a police officer.
Oh, no.
Now, this gentleman is from a foreign land.
I hope the guy's not deported.
No, a foreign land where men are men and crocodiles run wild. We'll just go that far.
Yeah.
And so he's not afraid of an alcohol, and he may come off a little obtuse.
Yeah, he likes this.
But to much credit to the law enforcement officer, instead of arresting his ass, he felt concerned for him and thought maybe you need to go to the hospital and get your stomach pumped.
Oh, no.
And so somewhere between 3:45 a.m. in the morning and 1 when I found out this story, this gentleman was given a nice escort down to the local hospital to have alcohol removed from his stomach because the law enforcement officer was concerned for his health.
Oh, that's a nice cop right there, man.
Now, if we would have made the bet, I would have lost because I had placed a wager on the way down there that somebody was going to get left in Naples that night.
Right, yeah, right.
Which didn't happen.
Yeah, who's going to wind up missing?
And so, fast forward all that, did the dinner with my dad, came home, I slept for a half hour, then you came over, and here we are.
Wow.
So that's my night.
Well, I hope you got a good dinner tonight, man, so you get a little rejuvenated.
Well, I had fish and chips last night. Tonight I had a blackened grouper sandwich.
Jeez, man, on the fish kick.
I guess.
I like it,
Especially
man.
after throwing it up, you figure, I wouldn't have been into it as much.
Give me a steak or something at this point, Baked potato, man.
I like a great fish and chips, but it's so hit or miss. You either get a grease ball or something good. And it's more grease ball than anything.
Well, at a place like this where a fish and chips cost you $18.99.
Yeah, right.
It was fantastic.
It better be on point.
It was on point. The French fries were like those little tiny stick ones that come in that can, but
really?
Good. Yeah, they were real tiny, but
real small,
it was probably some of the best non gussied up fish I've had in a long time. Because usually, they got to blacken and do all this. Is just straight up
Good
run of
batter.
the mill
Good
fried
batter.
fish.
Yeah.
On point.
That's cool.
It was very good. So I mean, that place down there is top flight. Great food.
I like a good fish and chip, man.
But yeah, so
Wow.
that was my last few
Bro,
hours.
that is a wild ass story, man.
But it's just funny when you hear somebody ends up in the hospital.
Oh,
It's
of course. It's like, what? The guy ended up on a bench? You know?
It was a success.
and so-
Even though it was a sausage party,
and he's
it ended
still,
up a success.
and the guy's still in his, his nice wear. He's still wearing his.
Well, to be fair to us,
What did
out
he
of
have?
all of us, he was the least dressed up. He had on a
Okay.
nice button up and expensive jeans, but he didn't have on the shirt.
He
the
didn't
tie.
have- yeah, you
out
had
of
the
all of
vest
us,
and all that.
everybody else had the vest on, the shirts, the
I was about to
ties.
say, yeah.
Except for the guy.
Except
who
for
was
the
playing,
guy that ended up on the
Well,
bench.
except for him and the guy who was playing our lawyer. He had on like a black and white Hawaiian-esque style shirt. But the rest of us all, suited up and tied up. But when
Hey.
I was at Burn and I went and got myself a $7 cigar,
There you go.
they had $300
Of
cigars.
course.
Like,
Who? I could not imagine burning that kind of cash on a cigar.
what does a $300 cigar taste like?
I don't know.
Not to be John Travolta from fucking Pulp Fiction wondering what a
No.
$7 milkshake tastes like.
Yeah, right.
Well, what does a $300 cigar taste like that justifies it being $300?
Yeah, what's the difference between that $7 or $12 cigar and that $300 cigar? Is there a smoothness? Is there a tobacco strain? What's the deal with that, man?
Well, my buddy Martin Marzika is joining us via YouTube on the live stream.
Beautiful.
He's a school teacher in New York City, believe it or not.
Oh, man.
And he was saying bars out here close at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, funny, Martin, we were actually talking about going back to the Cape because some of our bars are now open until 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Which would have been ironic because that means I would have had to pay for a bus to take me back to Cape Coral, the town I live in, and then have to go back to Fort Myers to get my car. Now, ironically, one of the bars lost their license to be open
Yeah.
until 3 a.m. because a local biker club...
Rally.
No, a local biker
I
club
know.
had gotten a few fights in there,
Yeah,
and
they've
so
had some-
and this country bar had lost its. But once again, at this point, the time we got back from Naples, the bars it was 3:45, so the bars would close. But yes, here in Cape Coral, we're a little. We like to pretend we're fancy, but we're still a little white trash, so our bars do stay open at 3, whereas Naples is, once again, you got Lamborghinis, Porsches, free. A lot of old people in the high tax bracket with the young kids, and so their city council isn't too hip into the 3 a.m. bar nights, so they aren't open until 3 a.m., much like Cape Coral is, and Fort Myers still closes at 2.
Wow. Yeah. I'm just seeing of the guy hooking up with what's the one guy you call
He didn't
him?
hook him up.
Or not
He
hook
was
up,
just
but
cradling him.
But just the two dudes
Very lot of
leaving,
close talking.
and then him going, "Hey, I'm good. I live around the corner or whatever it is," and then start off walking, end up on a sounds like something I would do, bro.
Exactly. That's a Dave the Waterman
End
story all
up
day
on a
long.
bus bench, and then next thing I know, I wake up and I'm in the hospital getting my stomach pumped. Man, that is so
So
hardcore.
the guy ended up daving around, huh?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
he
Dave
was.
Brown took out a
He
stomach
pulled an old school me, Gordon. He pulled an old school me, what I would do back in my distant past. Well,
Was that
not so
6 months
distant,
ago?
but in my distant past. He'd pull one of those numbers, Man, you had a rager this weekend,
Yeah, it was all right.
and then you were out today.
Uh-huh.
I seen you earlier. You were out at a car show today.
Well, no, I had to drop the other...
I was like, this guy's all over town, man.
I had to drop the other off back down at downtown Fort Myers
Oh.
for the not bachelorette party, but
the
thing where the
bridal shower.
the bridal shower where she gets a bunch of fancy gifts.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
bullshit.
yeah.
And I see this huge Red Ryder. Somebody built a car to look like a Red Ryder wagon
Oh wow.
or Radio Flyer wagon.
Yeah, Radio Flyer.
I'm getting my BB guns in my wagons, but then I cast my eyes down and I see this beautiful split window Volkswagen bus.
saw
So I had
that.
to get a picture in front of it. But
That
I
was
did.
sweet.
It was hot down there, and I
Yeah.
was still hungover, and I had to get to the mall to get your hats made.
Yeah.
And then I had to get to dinner, so I had to get going. So no, I quickly got a picture with the
All right.
Volkswagen bus because I want one.
I was just like, man, my man D-Train's all over town this weekend from Naples and downtown Fort Myers. He's, Mr. Socialite, man, out, hanging out with the people. And I was like, you were a busy guy.
Well,
No doubt about it. No doubt about it, man.
we briefly got into, closed it out because my computer started
Yeah.
running slow. We briefly got into local city council, and what broke last week, the downside of doing a weekly show is the time we do a show, some of these stories aren't
The news
fresh
gets a little,
anymore.
yeah.
They've been around a while.
Well, fill me in a little bit.
Well, I'm trying to pull up my news story here because I'm trying to find where the hell I put it. But the mayor of Port Richey was arrested.
Oof.
Again.
Again?
Again. Now, I never knew about the original arrest.
No, I did not either.
Apparently, sometime last year, him and his old lady got into a altercation when she had been arrested multiple times before because they showed a year-old story on here where they're showing all her mugshots.
Okay, so a little domestic dispute.
And so he got arrested for that, and then he did much like dudes in trouble always do, he did one of those post follow-up stories talking about he's going to stay away from her, and, you know, she's a bad element, and this and that. And he is, after all, the mayor of Port Richey.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Okay.
And he gets arrested again.
Oh.
And apparently, at some point before becoming mayor, he was a doctor.
Oh, man.
And
he's losing it all.
No, well, what he was doing is he was writing scripts to people without a license. So the SWAT team came to deliver a warrant for his arrest.
Good God, this guy's a wreck.
Oh, it gets worse. So now you're the mayor of the town.
Yeah.
Which means you probably know the chief of police.
Oh, you damn right you do.
You have things to do with their budgetary stuff. And they come to deliver
the warrant.
A warrant. And here is the story. The mayor of a Florida town was arrested Thursday after he opened fire on deputies who were trying to serve a search warrant for allegedly operating illegal medicine practice out of his home. Pasco County Sheriff Chris Nacco said SWAT officers showed up at the house on of the Port Richey mayor, Dale Glenn Massad, so he's one of those three name fellows, Dale Glenn Massad, on Thursday morning to serve a warrant related to allegations that he had been still practicing medicine despite having his medical license revoked more than 27 years ago. So this guy
27 years ago.
This guy has his license revoked 27 years ago, but somehow still gets voted mayor of this town. When SWAT
Wait a second, you said Pasco County, Florida?
I don't know if that's Pasco. It's Port Richey. I'm not sure what
Port Richey.
county it is.
So that would be
I thought I heard a county that may end up on
Sarasota
Live
County?
PD. So maybe it was.
Yes,
there.
Pasco County. So yes, Live PD. When the SWAT tried to enter the home, bullets began raining down on the officers.
Oh,
get on now, get!
Yeah, get.
Officers did not return fire. Eventually, Massad surrendered to police and was taken into custody. No one was injured. Quote from the sheriff, "He's lucky he's not dead."
No doubt,
said the sheriff during a press conference Thursday, according to Fox 13. Every day, those members put their lives on the line, and they're lucky to go home. He said Massad has a history of drug use, violence, and threats, and owns several guns, which is why deputies raided the 3,200 square foot waterfront home rather than to make a routine arrest. The sheriff said that there is a suspicion that the mayor may have been under the influence of drugs at the time of the shooting. He also said the mayor yelled at the officers that he was not going back to jail.
Yeah, you're not taking me alive, copper.
Now, I will say on the year-old story where they're doing a file interrupt, you know, one thing I learned is I don't want to go back to jail.
Yeah.
When somebody says I'm not going back to jail, they either mean it.
Then stop doing the bullshit.
Yeah.
Exactly. When someone says I'm not going back to jail, they either mean it's going to be a shootout. They're either going to flee from us. That means it's going to be a shootout. They're going to flee from us somehow. He's not the one who made the decision to shoot at us. He was the one who made the decision to shoot at us, and he's the one going to jail. According to Fox 13, the 69-year-old mayor was previously arrested in August on domestic battery charges. How was he not kicked out of office?
I don't know. So,
what kind of lawyer does he have?
What kind of people live up there that would vote him in?
Exactly, and like when I posted this story the day it happened, I posted it under the headline of "Poor Man's Boardwalk Empire" because this guy's trying to be Nucky Thompson.
That's a good headline. I like that.
Port Richey town has a population of 2,800 and about 40 miles north of Tampa on the Gulf Coast. Massad was elected mayor in 2015. Served on the city council since 2000 to 2008.
Wow, this guy's career's done.
Well, technically, it was done 27 years ago when his license to practice medicine was revoked.
Started writing illegal scripts, man.
It's like,
now he's going to run for county commissioner.
Hey, I'm glad. That makes Cape Coral look great. We had a nutball mayor.
Yeah, we had a crazy instance.
She was dating this fireman.
Yep.
Had a restraining order posted against him. 2 weeks later, got married to him.
Yep.
A month and a half later, got a divorce from him. would have hysterical meltdowns during city council meetings and get up and run out. And finally, she lost her re-election. So at least now when it comes to Florida mayors that are complete assholes, this guy now has taken the throne away from the fine city of Cape Coral.
Boy, has he ever.
So props to you, sir. Enjoy the jail time. And, well, let's see what the, now...
I can't believe he started firing his gun. I mean, I'm
through
surprised.
the door.
Yeah, I'm surprised
He
the
shot through the
cops
front door.
did not go and like literally
just light the place
up because that is grounds, man.
Yeah, I mean once you send that round down range, you're just waiting for an ass whooping.
You damn right. You damn right you are, man. You don't do that. You don't. That is. It's like somebody barricaded. So did he didn't put any kind of resisting arrest or barricaded himself in the home. He finally once
you start shooting at police, resisting arrest is a minor charge.
Well, what I'm
now
saying
you're getting
is,
arrested for attempted
what I'm
murder.
saying is he didn't barricade himself inside the home. They didn't have to,
as soon as he saw him coming, and as soon as they knocked, he started shooting through his front
door.
door.
Once he stopped shooting, then he was like, "Okay, I give up."
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, all right.
Obviously, I read the story. There's not a whole lot of detail.
Yeah, I didn't know if they went in and had to extradite him out of the house or anything, man.
So I had a thought for a bit, but it's quickly going away. And who has the most jacked up news
going back to Dave, the Dave walking around drunk. Ryan says on Facebook, Dave, you would end up sitting on in the field talking to burl owls.
You know what? That wouldn't be the first time either, bro. Done it.
All he wanted was for his birthday was a burl owl. He said, Dad, I'll never ask you for anything ever again if I get me a burl owl. 10 o'clock the other night, I see Dave looking up in the tree. I said, what are you looking for? He said, I'm looking for my burl owl. And I said, jump in, Jesus, on a pogo stick. Everybody knows that a burl owl lives in a hole in the ground. Why do you think they call them burrowing owls anyway?
Damn it. Damn it, Dad. Why you guys ruin my search for the burrowing owls?
But go ahead, Gordon.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
I was going to say, I kind of had an idea for a bit, but it may be changing real quick. See which area had the most jacked up news stories. Vegas, Nevada, or Florida. But
Florida will always take the cake.
Yeah. Vegas lose.
Yeah, you would lose.
What's on down there?
You know what it is? This guy is a straight up Italian from like New York.
I was about to say.
Everybody down here is running from somewhere else.
Yep, always.
So, do you got like the Italians when they talk? It sounds like cannolis are falling out of their mouth.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't want to, but yeah, we've got people from all over the country.
The most annoying thing that you hear down here is someone justifying their dickishness by saying, "Hey, I'm from New York. What do you expect?"
Yeah,
it's like, fuck you. Go back to New York.
Hey,
you can leave your attitude in New York.
Yeah, they come down and try to change everything. They really do. Laws, you name it. Well, Gordon, they bring it all.
It's interesting you say that. It's funny how
because they come and run for office.
It's funny how people want to leave an area and then take their bullshit with them to a new area. Gordon used to deal with this a lot when he lived in Montana. Back in the late 90s, he would have these rich people come from California because they didn't like the tax code.
That's what I say, the state tax.
And the laws, but then they tried to get into a position of influence on the city council and then started to try to create very similar style tax codes and laws.
Going, hey, guess what? We need a state tax.
It's like, hey,
what?
If you want Burger King, don't go to McDonald's.
No.
Stay at fucking Burger King.
You're damn right.
That is why we have federalism. That's why we have different states. If you don't like the tax codes and the law of state A, save up your money, find a job, and move to state B.
Mm-hmm.
You don't move to state B
and then really bad.
and then try to turn state B into state A. If you like state A so much, stay there. That's why we have 50 states plus Puerto Rico.
You can pick and choose.
You can pick and choose to find what's. Hey, if you're on the left, go to Vermont. Go to California. They'll love you there. If you're on the far right, go to Texas. There's an ass for every seat, but quit trying to make them all the same damn seat.
You guys got an influx of Californians coming into Nevada. I know you guys have been having that for a long time now.
Well, it's just like we had the influx of New Yorkers because Miami's full.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, since I would say since about 2008, we went from 2 million people to 3 million in the valley.
Wow.
I don't know what the percentage of them are Californians, but those tags are everywhere. Have been seeing a lot of Florida tags lately too.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
Well, you gotta be careful when you're looking at tags because Louisiana likes to rip off the appearance of the California tag. Theirs looks very similar.
Yeah, they got a close.
Well, the Cali tags, they've now changed to the classic black and yellow that they used to have.
Oh, no doubt. They got the antique tags. Those antique tags that they had. That's sweet. So that's the regular tag now. Because it
I
was
think it's
the
an
red and the
option
white.
Now. They all look like a bunch of Steeler
They got it
fans.
close.
Well, the Cali tag.
What?
No, my bad.
Go ahead, Gordon. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying it looked like a bunch of Steeler fans with the colors, but it's the classic black license plate with yellow letters. Seeing them everywhere.
Wow. That's wild that they went to that. That makes, I don't know. Maybe they got a good deal on black paint.
Let's talk about cars.
Ooh,
We kind of segued into this.
Yeah.
It's another topic I
Love
got to be
cars.
very careful about.
Uh-oh. Well, last week we tore it up, so what do you got this week?
This is about a local car dealer.
Oh, no.
Now, my dad had just recently got himself a truck, same model as mine. Great, that's not the problem.
Okay.
The problem is, as you all know, my stepmom passed away last September. She was leasing a car, a Korean car, we'll say, 3-letter named car from a dealer.
Yeah.
Is it predominant in the Cape?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty big in the Cape. If you know what I mean.
Big.
Yeah. And so the lease is up in March. So my dad calls him up. Hey, I got this car here, belonging to my wife. She's no longer with us. God rest her soul. I don't need it.
Yeah.
The lease is up in March. We're not over 100 miles. We never missed a payment. We're going to turn it in. I'm just calling to verify for budgeting reasons that the last payment is due on day X, and it is due for the total amount of Y.
Okay.
Your total amount, you're short, sir.
Huh?
What do you mean I'm short? You're short by $400.
What the hell, man?
What do you mean? Never missed a payment. It's in your contract, sir. What's that? Well, you're not going to release a new car, correct? No, I got a car. Don't need a car.
Yeah.
Lease is up on this one. Turn it back in. Yeah, it's in your contract. Multiple lines, multiple paragraphs. You signed it. It's in your contract. What's that? Well, sir, see, at our establishment, when leasing a car, once your lease is up and you return said car, if you do not lease another car from us, you have to pay a $400 lease separation agreement.
Oh, bro.
But the lease is over, right?
Yes, sir, but it's in our contract because we would have to take your car down to auction to sell it. But wait a minute, hold on, time out, stop. Even if I lease another fucking car, you're going to have to sell the old one.
Yeah.
So what does it matter if I'm leasing another car?
Yeah.
And by the way, you don't have to take it to auction. It's only got 30,000 miles on it. You could just sell it as a used car in your own damn lot.
They got a giant lot.
This place leases more cars than they sell.
Mm-hmm.
And now you know where they make all their money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to be fair, and for due diligence, I will, because I'm leasing a Volkswagen, I will call the Volkswagen dealership to find out if I'm going to have a $400 lease termination agreement, and chances are they're going to tell me no.
Yeah.
But I was dumbfounded. But it's in your, you signed it.
Whoa. So now he has no choice, huh?
It's listed multiple times in that several hundred-page lease agreement you signed that no one ever reads because it's like a size 3 font.
It's like a freaking phone book.
Yeah, $400.
Some of them. Wow.
And not even a mention, right? Not even, hey, real quick, there's a $400 lease separation.
Yeah, hey, by the way, just to let you know, the way it works here is, we appreciate your return, so if you come back and lease another car, we will happily waive the $400 lease separation agreement. And you're like, okay, wait, huh? But no, that was never brought up.
Thanks for the transparency, asshole.
Yeah, and by the way, it's not because I have an issue with your car or anything. It's just the owner passed away, and I already have a car and a car payment, so I don't physically have a need for another car. There's no reason for me to lease another one from you. You don't think even under those circumstances you could waive the $400?
Yeah.
You just got to eat it.
That sucks, man.
Eat it and move on.
Damn, bro. And your dad's such a good guy, man. You know, they could waive that. They could waive that.
If they wanted to.
If they wanted to, they could waive that. But that's how, but you're right, that's how that company makes some cash. Their cash. Probably quite a bit of cash. What?
Martin Mazika pointed this out. I guess they have the yellow and black tags in New York State as well.
Yeah.
But he mentioned, because he goes back to Ohio every once in a while to visit his family. He said you got to be very careful when you go back to Ohio because they think they're party plates.
What?
In Ohio.
I thought those were yellow and red.
Well, apparently they changed them. Because when Gordon and I lived there, party plates, basically, if you get a DUI, you get what's called a party plate, meaning that you can only drive from work and home.
Yeah,
And so if you're not on your way to work or on your way home, you're not allowed to drive.
You're not supposed to be on the road, yeah.
And as Gordon just said, they were either, I think they're red with a yellow font.
Wow.
But they must have...
Yeah, they were yellow with a red font, and what also, my understanding...
Like a New Mexico plate.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
And they could also pull you over at any time with no reason.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's part of the agreement.
Yeah, it's part of the agreement you sign.
Yeah.
Alky tags.
And there must...
Alky tags.
There must have been some sort of... There must be some sort of thing on your record stating what your normal hours of work is, because I mean they would need some sort of way to prove that.
Yeah, you gotta. I'm sure.
You probably have to check in with your parole officer, and they probably have, okay, well, I work Monday through Friday on these dates, blah, 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 this time. But, yeah, he was saying, I guess, when you go back to Ohio and you're driving with those, and maybe they changed them because they were getting them confused in New Mexico, because New Mexico's are yellow with red font.
Yeah.
Maybe at the time they changed them to black with yellow font because no one other than you, but.
Yeah, who knows? But still.
I should just have the reflective tape that just says DUI.
Alky tags.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Well,
that sounds funny.
A few years back, Ohio got rid of the county. Like down here it says Lee County, Sarasota, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of gives.
And up in Ohio, you say Franklin County now, which makes sense because then you have to make so many plates for so many counties. To streamline that, to save money, what they did is they dropped the county and they assigned each county a number. And so not only do you have your registration sticker in one corner, you would have your county number in the other.
Right.
So now they don't actually have to pay for plates for each county. They can just pump out a shitload of them, send them out to any DMV, it doesn't matter, and they would just issue the number sticker.
Yeah, the sticker will correlate your county.
Yeah, so like if you're in Franklin County, it'd be 63 or whatever it is.
Saying. Well, that's kind of cool.
Since we're on this topic of cars,
yeah,
this will be pretty interesting for you, Dave. I figured this out short and early in life for me.
Yeah.
To me, I kind of chapter my life of life is based on a series of cars. Meaning,
yeah.
When I look back in my past, I remember, okay, back when I owned the S10, I was out doing this. I was in high school, yada, yada.
Yeah.
A few years later, I got the Suzuki Somersault we talked about, and that's when, I was taking care of my daughter, lost my job because her mom couldn't, heaven forbid, show up on time to fucking take the kids so I can go to work, blah, 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 blah. Then I got married, I got the Ford Escort LX, got divorced, drove it to California, blew up the the clutch on the 405 because I just got ran over by an Escalade, and I had to throw it in second gear. And then my boss's mechanic was pissed off trying to replace the clutch because every bolt was rusted out, and I got this frustrated phone call asking me where the fuck this car was from. I had to explain it's from Ohio, and the salt rusts everything out.
What is this shitbox?
Moved to Florida, sold it, bought my dad's 96 Pontiac Firebird off of him. That broke down, still poor, got the piece of shit Colorado that I drove when I first started working at the radio station. That thing was a dog. Finally started making some money, got the base model Tacoma, and then got the Tacoma Met now. So I can actually trace my life as a series of cars.
Right.
What's your opinion? I mean, have you ever thought about that? Has that even occurred to you?
Yeah, I guess I could have.
But it's hard for you because you've had the same car for the last 30 years.
Well, I had a truck for 25 years, man. But it was a great
Dodge.
truck. Yeah, it was a great truck. I got my.
I think you posted an old photo of you and your brother in a driveway.
Yeah, that was in California, man. In California is when I first got that truck, man. It was a and in fact that was a buddy of mine, Jason. But yeah, that's when I first. I mean, I probably had it maybe a year at that point. But I had that truck for a long time. Now but you're right. I see what you're saying. But and I had a white Toyota, no extra cab on it, long bed, lowrider, and that was a great ride. And I remember, I dated quite a few chicks in that vehicle, man. I actually jumped it. Multiple times.
Are you talking Dukes of Hazzard style?
Oh yeah, there was a thing, and my buddy Jason actually can verify this. There was this hill, and it was called the Three Terraces. And what I used to do, and I had lowrider tires on it and everything. People would look at me and go,
honey spokes?
Yeah, bro. No, not dating honey spokes. I had Kreger spokes though. Okay. And they were like, there's no way you could make it up that hill. And I remember I'd back all the way up to the edge before it dropped off, and I would just hammer on that throttle. Didn't care. No care in the world. And I had my cooler full of beer strapped down to the back of the truck. And the beer, I had that thing strapped down so good it wouldn't should go anywhere. But I remember going up those three terraces, and literally it was a mountain with three moguls going up the mountain. So you would have to catch air, and you're bouncing off, and you're flying you're flying feet out. And then you hit, and you got just enough room to get more, you got your momentum going, and you would hit those three terraces, and bam, bam, it was a 1-ton pickup too, so I had those really heavy-duty shocks on it. But man, dude, I put that truck through complete hell and sold that son of a bitch for $1 freaking.
Yeah,
man.
you were telling us a few weeks ago you sold it.
Yeah, I was so pissed about that, man. But that was, I had that and a Saturn for a little bit. I didn't particularly like that one because that brought those bad memories right there. And then the Dodge, man. I had that truck forever, though. I've had that truck for so long.
Yeah, you finally sold it for scrap.
Yeah, and I'm so pissed about that because I just needed to get my tranny fixed, man. My transmission, bro.
Nah, I mean, the thing was 20 years old.
It was old.
At that point, and we've all been there.
It was old.
Once you start replacing something, everything else just goes to shit real quick.
Yeah,
So it would have just been a never-ending money pit.
Yeah, it was at that point. But I worked on it so much throughout all those years, though, that I was able to, I knew what was wrong with it. I knew how the engine was broken. Mm-hmm. That was a good truck. I never ragged that truck. That's why it lasted as long as it did. And it was still fairly, aesthetically, it was a good looking truck. But you can't tell me what still.
It was still a 20-year-old truck that had made multiple trips from California to Florida and back.
Yeah.
How many miles did you have on that thing?
Oh my gosh, I had almost 277,000 probably on that truck, maybe even more at that point. I think about a little over 277 at some point. There was a lot on there. But yeah, there's vehicles. I see what you're saying. I got to think about that a little more. Because I know I've had a few other cars, but they were such a flash in the pan because they didn't last maybe a week before they got totaled.
Yeah, because I know Gordon could probably, track his life through his cars. I know he had a Toyota. I mean, what did you have when you lived in Montana?
I had a Toyota Corolla GTS rear-wheel drive. It was an 86. When I bought it, it had about 260,000 miles on it.
A rear-wheel drive Toyota?
Yeah, they actually probably use them for drift cars now, but it was actually a fun car. And I drove that back to Ohio and had that there. It was horrible on the snow. It's funny because I bought it in a place that had nothing but snow. And then got rid of that. Ended up with a little Dodge Colt. Got rid of that. Had a little Volkswagen Fox. And ended up back in Kentucky with that. Then I would have to map it out, but there's each chapter in a car.
Yeah.
It's absolutely right. It's either vehicles or pets, right?
Yeah.
Or both.
Well, you guys are Volkswagen guys. You guys, what was a cool Volkswagen that I used to love? The Scirocco.
The who what?
The Volkswagen Scirocco.
What's that?
It was a style of Volkswagen.
It's a sportier.
It was a sport. It was more of a triangular. Wouldn't you say, Gordon? Like a triangular.
Yeah, it's more of a wedge.
Yeah, like a wedge shape.
Kind of like the old Honda. What were the ones with the clear plastic back window?
Preludes.
No,
that was a cool car.
No, whatever, don't matter.
Yeah, but anyways, I don't know. I don't know. I thought you guys being just Volkswagen guys, you remember that one. They didn't last. I don't think they made it just for a few years.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the name.
Yeah,
Gordon, you have anything for news and shit before we wrap up the show?
Yeah, what you got, brother?
Everybody's tired of hearing about it, but we got one Jesse Smollett and his bullshit that's been going on.
Yeah,
What's going on with this dickhead?
So, as we know, he has been basically charged with falsifying everything that's happened.
Now, did he ever turn himself in?
Not that I could see yet. I could be wrong, but he was arrested Thursday on a felony charge of disorderly conduct over falsely claiming he was attacked, according to Chicago police.
Now, as we spoke last week when this story was still breaking, it had just come out that he had hired two gentlemen who were brothers, biologically, to play the role as the Trump supporters to kick his ass. Now, in the story that I was reading online, it did not allude to the race of these two gentlemen, so I was just assuming he hired two white guys to go out and to perpetrate this act because due to risk of surveillance cameras, if you're going to have this charade, you need to be as authentic as you can because, he is an actor.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about the cameras, and also he was paying the brothers and allegedly paying them $3,500 to target him. But what was interesting is before the attack, Smollett made sure that the neighborhood had security cameras to ensure that the assault would be recorded.
But correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he hire two non-white gentlemen to perpetrate this act? Weren't they super stacked bodybuilder dudes from I
think they're from
Haitian or something?
Yeah, Haitian but so and apparently they had been extras on an episode in the past.
Yeah.
And I can just see it now, right? They're all sitting around his apartment.
Yeah, conspiring.
This is our opportunity, gentlemen.
Yeah.
To make a difference in the world.
Damn right, Jesse. We can do something.
We are all fine actors. The best actors. This is, think of it like live theater, gentlemen.
Right.
We can prove to the world of our acting chops. But the only people we're going to know is going to be us, because we're going to pull this off.
Yeah.
Even the fact that you guys aren't white.
Yeah.
We're going to say you are.
It's a small bit role.
But it's like back to the question last week.
That one's gnarly. That is bad, man, because it's about the... because didn't he say they were... Now, I'm probably wrong on this, but they were wearing
magma
hats, man. So that was like...
And they brought a noose.
And they were supposed to be white. And they did.
Yeah, it sounds like allegedly he's actually told them what to say.
Now,
what epithets to say.
Oh.
I did read a story that said that the police had found bleach at the brothers' homes. They found some of the rope, and they also found magazines with pages missing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but prior to this assault, wasn't there a story where he claimed he was getting threatening letters in the mail that were kind of designed like ransom style with the...
I think you're right on that.
Weird letters that are removed from magazines. So
yeah,
clearly,
they do like a collage.
But back to our whole point of this is
2019,
there's cameras everywhere.
Yeah, dude, you can't go nowhere.
How do you think this is going to end?
Exactly.
Wouldn't your plan come to an abrupt halt when you can't find two white guys to pay to do this?
Yeah. You go, wait,
or
let's
if you find
this.
those two white guys to pay $3,500 to, how is it still going to shake out when they will eventually, fess up and say, this is what happened, man. This ain't worth my jail time.
Well, but even if he wouldn't have went that route, he could have used his acting skills and a good lawyer to make the white guys the bad guys, make them the liar. But your basis of your story that you got beat up by two white guys is going to be easy to prove wrong if they find surveillance cameras showing that the guys aren't white. Right there, your story's... it's the rest of it doesn't matter.
So is that what he said? He said they were two white dudes.
Two white dudes, Make America Great Again hats.
Oh, man.
They called him the F word, I think. Maybe even the other word.
Okay.
That they beat him up.
I didn't know
they poured bleach on him. The implementation being that, I'm going to bleach out your skin because you're black.
Yeah, exactly.
And kicked his ass. Well...
What the hell, man?
Step one in your story is to find two white guys.
Yeah, don't... Yeah, come on, man.
Let's flip the script. Let's flip it.
This is so ridiculous.
Let's say that you're a female actress. You're crazy in the nugget just like this guy is. Let's say you're going to perpetrate a story where someone sexually assaulted you.
Right.
Isn't your story going to rely heavily on the fact that you're going to have to hire two dudes?
Absolutely.
In this story, she would have hired two women.
Yeah.
So once again, if we flip the script and change the whole roles, it would be like hiring two women to come beat you up to say that you were sexually abused by two guys. Once again, cameras being everywhere, that is the key component to your story.
Yeah.
That's the step one. You got to get that role filled.
Especially
if you don't get that role filled, the whole show's off.
Yep, especially in today's society where cameras are everywhere.
I mean,
and nobody thinks about consequences, and I don't get it. That's one of my first things is what will happen if I do this act.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, they're watching. Somebody's watching. I mean, I know in the town me and D-Train live in the county and everything, there's cameras at almost every stoplight, every other stoplight. Same with you, Gordon, in Las Vegas, I'm sure.
Except for if you live in, I think it's Dallas, Texas. I could be wrong. I know a couple of years ago, it was all over the... Sorry about that. I didn't want to burn the microphone. It was all over the news. This may be pushed on 8 years ago now. It was either Houston, Dallas. It was a big municipality, right? And they had all these stoplight cameras. But the yearly annual budget to run all these is like $4 million or something.
Wow.
Extravagant charge.
Yeah.
The problem is they worked. People stopped running red lights.
It curbed.
So they were losing revenue and tickets. And so they actually put out a press release saying they were shutting them down.
That makes sense. I can see that.
Basically
because they want revenue back. They want their money.
Hoping that people start running red lights again so they can start making no money, because the lights, they actually worked, and it became a net loss. They were losing money because people weren't running red lights. They were no longer writing $300 tickets, and they had a $4 million annual operating budget for these camera lights.
Dude, real quick before we jump from the small Jesse story, I want to say I did see a picture online, and I kind of chuckled about it because it shows R. Kelly, and it's Did you see this? It shows R. Kelly in the exact same booking room as Jesse Smollett. And I sat there and I looked and I went, no
Somebody with a keen eye pointed it out. And how you know is like the third grout line down on the cinder block wall to the our left. There'd be their right, stage right, our left. There is a noticeable sized divot
nick in the
grout
wall.
line. And it's the exact same spot in both mugshots.
Did you see that? I chuckled when I saw that because it was like they got arrested within 24 hours or 48 hours of each other.
But the whole R. Kelly thing is completely F because...
that dude.
But that
That's
dude
another show.
and the things he's been doing has been in the spotlight for 10, 11, 12 years.
Hell, man.
That porn came out. Yeah. Everybody knew. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm not saying... allegedly, when that video came out, wasn't that like his... niece or some shit?
Yeah, it was
like a family member or a friendly family member. It came out. She was a minor.
Yeah.
Not only was he having sex with her, but he was urinating on her and doing...
defecating on her, man. Doing all kind of weird stuff.
And it was out there. It was on the internet.
Yeah. It was out there.
And then the stories about him, basically brainwashing these chicks, it's been around forever. And he gets away with it until somebody makes a documentary or some sort of... finally, it came out in a more of a pop culture vehicle. Mm-hmm. Now, all of a sudden, now law enforcement's interested in doing something. Yeah. Why wasn't he arrested for shit 10 years ago?
I think
8 years ago.
It was everywhere. I mean, comics were telling jokes.
Well, that's what I was
going
to say. Chappelle.
Hip-hop songs, and everything else.
But why did it take so long?
Yeah, I don't know because, like I say, once again, we all know that famous Chappelle Show skit, man, where he does
like the video.
Yeah, and he's sitting there and he's got the hose out and all that. It's like, and then it pans over and it says, somebody so.
It's just weird that it's sad. Not even weird. It's kind of disgusting that it took so long. And
I thought he did do time for that in the original. Like, I think he did a little bit, and then he got out, and then everybody thought he was good, and he slowly fell back into that.
Well, that's the problem.
That lifestyle again.
Well, I mean,
or whatever it is. I don't even think that's not a lifestyle, but he fell into that.
Well, the other problem there is that if he did in fact go do any sort of jail time for that video or what he did to that girl, the fact that either A, none of us knew about that part, or B, that he was able to restart his career afterwards and people were still buying tickets and people were willing to buy his music, that is just...
They gave that guy a second chance, man. They gave that guy a second chance. Just imagine the amount of pop culture even in this, that would have been 2005 when that one comedy skit came out. That propelled him back into the news again, because it was like people kind of forgot about it. It wasn't so big, and bam, when Dave did that skit, man, it was like bam, there it is again.
Well, fellas, I'm tired. We've been running a long time. We're like 100 minutes into this. Real quick, if you don't know, if you're watching this on Facebook, YouTube, what have you, you can download the full audio version of this show to listen in your car, listen in your earbuds while at work, listen wherever you want. I don't care.
Yep.
If you've been watching part of this video and you want to watch the rest of the audio or listen to the rest of the audio at a more convenient time, you can find us at iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, and I'm still working on Pandora. Not that it's hard, but for some reason Pandora has a whole list of shit you got to fill out instead of just submitting your... You can find me on Instagram at dtrain410. You can find me on Twitter at Donovan410. Gordon, you had a Twitter account at one point, but I don't think you use it anymore. You can find us on Facebook at Waterman D-Train Show. And you can find my Facebook page at D-Train. Thanks for all the support. I think our Facebook page finally hit a whopping 400 likes. But hey, we love all 400 of you. I'm not knocking on you.
No way.
I know Dave doesn't have a page. I know a lot of you just follow my D-Train page.
Yeah.
But give us some love at the Waterman and D-Train page. Once again, thanks to Act Computers for sponsoring our show. Give them a call at 239-283-1120 if you need any help with any computer-related issues. If anything in the last 110 minutes I've said, I hope you found something positive. I hope you enjoyed my night of debauchery and don't find yourself getting your stomach pumped after being confronted by the police officer while sitting on a bus bench.
Made me laugh.
But thanks for your support. Find something positive out of this. Go out and chase your dreams. Do what you got to do. Be happy. Life is short. And one day you may wake up dead. Yeah. Gordon?
You can hit me up at Aegis1974. That's on my Instagram page, AEGIS1974. And it's good talking to you guys.
Right on, Gordon. Right on. Hey, you know what? I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. It's really stoked to see that this show is starting to really pick up a little bit and grow. And we really want to thank all you guys and for spreading the word and helping us develop something here. This really means a lot to us, and we're really stoked about it. Once again, you can find me out on Instagram at Dave_the_Waterman. And that's all I got to say. See ya.
Like it